Hello, everyone, and welcome. My wife and I enjoy taking trips the old fashioned way. We prefer to travel by car or RV instead of flying. Sometimes we stay in hotels, and other times we may do some camping. I know some of my viewers enjoy the great outdoors as much as I do, so I decided to share with you guys this new item that I just got to make my traveling a bit more comfortable when the weather turns cold. Whether camping or staying in an RV, you need something that can keep the temperature comfortable throughout the night. Now, electric heaters can do the job, but the drawback is that they may drain your vehicle's battery, or you need to carry a big battery bank with you to run the heater all night long. So after doing some research, I found a more convenient, more compact, and self-contained heater by using a diesel heater. So I decided to give it a try and share my experiences with you guys. So if you've been looking for a good quality and affordable diesel space heater, stick around as I unbox and test this puppy. Alright then, so when you unbox this puppy, this is everything you get. So let's talk a little bit about some of the features that this guy has, but before we get started testing this guy, do me a big favor and hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so already. That way you get notified every time I do another product review video, DIY project, or a sale at a big box store where I can help you save even more money. Alright, so this is the Elif Brothers 5 kilowatt diesel space heater, available on Amazon, link in description below. At the time of making this video, this kit retails for $5.99. So what do you get included when you get this guy? Well, you get the heater, you get the control panel, muffler, tubing, power cords, and all sorts of other stuff that I'm going to go through in a little while. The warranty on this guy ends 1 year, and the dimensions on this guy are 14 inches by 10 inches by 10 inches, and the weight on this unit is 9 pounds. So this heater comes with a remote control and a remote control panel for easy setup and use. You don't need to be right next to the heater to actually control it. This heater uses an aviation grade glow plug for better performance at any temperature or altitude. This heater has an attractive stainless steel finish for easy cleaning, and it also has a very solid folding handles for easy transport. The heater uses a silent oil pump and double insulated muffler for greater noise reduction. It's also insulated enough to eliminate the annoying clicking sound that most diesel heaters will make. This heater has a plateau mode so it can adjust and run efficiently at altitudes as high as 17,000 feet or 5,200 meters. The fuel tank on this heater uses an automotive-grade gas cap with internal threads to eliminate the chances of leaking while overland traveling, even on bumpy roads. You definitely don't want to have diesel fuel spilling all over the place, so that's a very nice feature to have. The heater has 2 heating modes: constant heating mode, where the heater is running all the time, or temperature control mode, where you select the temperature that you want and the heater will turn on and off as needed to maintain the temperature that you selected. This is a go anywhere, use anytime heater that works on both 12 volt DC or 120 volt household current. All the needed adapters are included, so you can use this heater for traveling or even at home if you have a shop or garage that doesn't have heat, but you want to be able to do some work during the winter. This little guy can heat up your shop with minimal setup required. And it also works very well at home during a power outage in the middle of winter. If you don't have power, you can set this guy up and simply run it off solar panels or a battery bank. So this compact area space heater is great for camping at any altitude, including alpine camping for ice fishing, overlanding, or use it at home during power outages or emergency, or just about any situation where you need heat during a cold spell, whether you have power or not. As long as you have 12 volt battery nearby, this little guy will run and create heat for just about anywhere. So let's take a little closer look at this guy and see how it performs. Alright guys, so let's take a little closer look at this guy and go over some of the features that I already mentioned. So basically you can see right there, I put everything here on the table that comes included in this kit, and everything you need to run this guy is included. There's nothing additional that you need to buy. And the instruction manual covers all their different models. That's why I went to that page that covers this guy, Darth Vader. That's really a cool name. So anyway, so Darth Vader is on that page that I already showed you previously, and basically I'm going to have to go through the instructions and figure out how all this stuff goes together, how you hook it all up, and then we'll do some testing in a moment. But anyway, let's look at all the different things on here. Now here you have the remote control, because you don't have to be next to this heater to be able to control it. you can use the remote control from far away. That's the control panel that you plug into this guy, and I have to figure out how to do all that. And it'll light up once it's plugged in and it has some power going through it. Those are all the cables for it. That's the household adapter right there. That's a 120 volt adapter because this guy runs on 12 volt. Like I said, you could run this guy off your vehicle, your RV, solar panels, any of that kind of stuff. Anything that puts out 12 volts, that'll keep this guy powered up. But since we're at home right now, I'm going to be using that guy right there, which is very convenient. If you use this guy in an RV or camping or any of that, you could be in a tent somewhere and have that guy close to you, basically outside your tent, obviously, because you don't want to get, poisoned by the diesel fumes. But you can have that with a battery bank or something like that, powered up all night very easily. It doesn't draw a lot of power. And that's what this, you have inlet and outlet, one on each side, and that's what these hoses and all these adapters are for. You have to set up for the fresh air to come in and the hot air to go out. So like I said, you could basically have this guy outside your tent, have it draw in nice, cool, clean air, and then heated air goes out inside your tent. So that's very convenient that way. This guy right here is your muffler, and that plugs right into there. Has a nice little plug on it, so you don't mess it up. But anyway, so the muffler goes plugged into there, and the exhaust goes far away. And you can bend that pipe any way you like. That's the way they bent it to put it in the box, but you can bend it any way you like. So the muffler is right next to the unit to keep it nice and quiet, and then the exhaust goes out wherever you send it out to. And that's where you have all these different grills and bending units, 90-degree units, and all that kind of stuff to adapt the air any situation that you want. And you have all sorts of clamps and stuff there included with this guy. So I'm going to set all that up in just a moment, but I have to read the instructions. I haven't done this before. Right here is where you hook up everything. There goes your power supply right there. And it has nice little covers to it, spring-loaded, so it keeps everything protected. And the controller goes right in here. And I already showed you that previously, showing you all the specs on this guy. This is the 12-volt unit. They also have a 24-volt and a 100-volt. So they have different ones to pick from. And this right here tells you the amount of fuel that you have inside the unit when you put the diesel inside there, because the tank is right here. The motor's on this side, the tank is right here. So when we look up top here, you see that this is the gas cap, and it's like a typical car gas cap. Really, it should be nice. It vented out and so forth, so it doesn't have any problems with venting, but it should be good enough to, even if it's sloshing around, it won't let anything leak out of there. You see a nice plastic tank in there, should be very durable. It should take up that whole space right here. About this half right here should all be a tank for the fuel. Then the motor is on this side over there. And there you have a conversion chart for centigrade and Fahrenheit if you need it. And you see that it has a nice stainless steel look to it. Very glossy, very reflective, very durable. You don't have to worry about paint going bad or any of that kind of stuff. So that's pretty cool right there. And then on the back here, this is where you hook up the power cord to the positive and the negative back here. Like it says right there, 12 volt. You put it onto this guy and you should be powered up and running. And then you have these insulated tubes here to control the air going in and out. And I have to figure out which one is for which, in or out. So everything's included. I have to read through the manual, and I'm going to go over all that stuff. And once I get it set up, then we'll come back and we'll test this guy out and see how well it performs. So let me get that stuff set up. All right, guys, let's talk a little bit about how to set up all the hoses that come with this guy, the inlet and the outlet hose. Now, the black hose back there is the fresh air inlet, and then the brown one here is where the heat comes out. They're both insulated, so there's nothing to worry about there, and they have a lot of different connections to it. I just kind of mocked it up loosely right now so you can see what everything is and what it brings. And there are two different sizes, so you really can't mess them up. The outlet size, as you can probably see, is bigger than the inlet size, so there's no way to mess it up. You can't put the wrong hoses in the wrong places. And they are flexible, they expand, they contract, they bend, you can do whatever you want with them. I just kind of have it loosely mocked up right now so you can see what we're talking about. I didn't want to get a little too creative because I don't know exactly how I'm going to set this up when I need it. But you can actually, I was looking at it, you can actually use like a dryer hose if you need longer hose. you can probably get like a dryer hose or something like that and hook it up to there and go even further. So it depends how much room you need, how far away your tent is or your RV is or whatever it is that you set up with this guy. So that's totally up to you if you want to get more hosing, if you need more space. But there you go. You have little, grates that go with it. Like you see right there, I put this one on the end of it. And the grates and the 90-degree bends and so forth. And they do say inlet and outlet on them. So, that's very easy to decide how it goes. And I just put up this piece of wood to show you, to hold it up so you can see it better. But it is rather flexible. So it will go wherever you need it to go. It's very easy to orient it in any direction you need to put it. So that's very convenient there. And then the outlet is the same. You basically screw on an outlet to it, or a grate, I should say, a cover. So, nobody puts their hands in there or anything like that. So that kind of protects that right there. And you also have a 90-degree for this guy. The muffler, you basically just insert it onto the side. And there are plenty of clamps and everything to attach everything. I just left it loosely right now because I'm going to take it apart in a moment to do some testing. But there are plenty of clamps and everything to attach everything. And the muffler goes right into there. Your main hose comes out over here somewhere, and you basically orient it wherever you need to go. And again, it is flexible, and you can bend it to whatever you need to do. So I'm going to explain the wiring to you right now, and then we'll turn this guy on and get it going. All right, guys, let's talk a little bit about the wiring now. It's not very complicated. It's just a little bit confusing because it's not really explained very well in the instructions. But that's why you watch my channel. I suffer through this stuff so you don't have to. So I figured it all out, and I'm going to explain it to you so it's easy enough to understand so anybody can understand this, whether the instructions are good or not. Anyway, so you have a couple of different things to hook up. And one thing I'll say is that, sometimes you get some of these products and they don't bring enough cables or enough products or enough whatever you need to do the job. This one actually brings too much. And that's why it can get a little bit confusing, as I'll explain in a moment. So the first thing you're going to need to do is you're going to take the controller box and you're going to hook it up to the controller cable. And that's easy enough to understand. You have this little hookup right here, hooks up right there. The two cables come together and you hook it up into there, into the one that says control panel. That's easy enough to understand. Now the confusion comes with the electrical connector. Now for the electrical connector, you have 3 different cables to choose from. So you open this up and you go, well, what do I do with the 3 different cables? It's like, what do I do? And there is a connection on the back and there's a connection on the front. So which one do you use? Well, actually, that's the confusing part, but it's not confusing. You can use either or. That's the easiest way for me to explain it. If you're going to plug it into a 120 outlet, whether it's a battery bank or a household or your shop or wherever it is you're going to be, an RV, you're going to plug it into a 120 outlet. You're going to use this transformer. And all you do is you take these 2 little pigtails and you plug them into back here, into the black and the red. And these are marked, you see, black and red. So they're easy enough to understand which one goes where. You just unscrew these guys, screw it back in, and you're good to go. And that's it. For 120 use, that's the only one you need. Now, if you're going to use a battery, you have 2 different choices. You can use this guy, and this guy will plug into the front. You plug this guy in there, and then you hook this guy up to a 12-volt battery. Easy enough. You have the 2 little rings right there. Hook it up to a battery, you're good to go. Now, what if you wanted to use the back one? Well, here you go. You have a 3rd option. This one has 2 ringlets on each side. So you can hook this guy up to the back one, and you can hook it up to a 12-volt battery. So that's what I said. You have too many choices. You use that guy to hook it up to the front, to hook it up to a battery. Use that guy to hook it up to a wall outlet and hook it up to the back, and that's how that guy powers it up. And use this guy to hook it up to the back and hook it up to a battery with the ring outlet onlets, the ring connectors. So you basically have 3 choices. You only need to use one at a time. You don't need to use all 3. So you have 3 different choices of how to power it up. And that's where it got a little confusing when I opened this up, because I'm thinking, wait a minute, why do I have so many connectors where there should only be 1 inlet or 1 power source? Why do I have 2 different plugs on the unit? Do I use one or both? So there you go. A little bit of experimenting, and I figured it out. No big deal. 1 at a time, that's all you need. You don't hook them up together. You hook up each one individually. You don't need the other 2. So there you go. Simple enough. So I'm going to hook this guy up. Let me put some diesel in there, and let's start testing it. Alright guys, so I got this little guy all hooked up over here. I have it plugged into the wall back over there, and I have it on a little stool there so it's closer to the door over here. I set up my own little makeshift exhaust system there so I can get the gases out of the door so I don't kill myself. Anyway, so I have the control panel hooked up right there. We'll look at that in a moment. And let's see, what else do we have? We have this guy plugged in back here, just like I showed you before. Just the 120 volt transformer right there plugged into the back. We're all set and ready to go. I put some diesel in it, so we're ready to go. And I'm not going to go over a whole lot of details on the setting it up and instructions and all that because there's no need for it. The instructions for the setup are actually quite good. You can see right there, it's very detailed, gives you a lot of information, goes over all the fault codes, all that kind of stuff, step by step. The only thing that was a little lacking was the assembly instructions. But as far as the control panel, it is very good and very detailed. Now, I have my little heat gun right here, and we're going to test this guy out and see basically where we are. Now, let's see right there. We're looking at 85 degrees coming out of there. The exhaust, 81 degrees. The pipe out of there, it gets a little cooler. So the unit itself, we're looking at about 80 degrees, but the metal inside's a little warmer, 86, 87. So I'm going to use this guy to test and see how this guy warms up and see what kind of results it gives me. So the body itself, you're looking at about 80 degrees right there. And I'm going to start this guy up right now. And it has a startup procedure. So let me turn this guy on. And all you do is press it and hold it, and it starts doing its thing. It goes on, and it goes through an entire self-test procedure. Let me give you a little closer look at it. And since it's an LED, it's going to be flickering a little bit and so forth, but it'll go through an entire setup procedure where it checks everything, it tests everything, all that kind of stuff. And it's like an 80-second process to get itself hooked up and started and so forth. Now, let's go over here, and I can feel that the fan has already kicked on. I don't know if you can hear it, but the fan kicks on to make sure that it's working properly. So what the instructions say is that it goes through and it tests the fan to make sure it works. It tests the igniter, the fuel level, all sorts of stuff in there to make sure everything is okay before it actually kicks on and starts the burner actually going. So it's going to do its little thing right there, and I'm going to wait for it. Like I said, it takes like 80 seconds to get going. So let's wait and see what it does. And in a moment, it should kick on, and I'm going to tell you, I'm going to, get up close to it, and we're going to see exactly how loud it is. But for the time being, let's wait and let it do its thing, and we'll come back to it. But like I said, as far as the instructions go, it is actually quite detailed. You can see right there, it gives you a lot of instructions, shows you everything about the control panel, and there's really nothing lacking as far as that goes. Shows you step by step how to set up everything, the timer, all that, and any possible fault codes, etc. The assembly is the only one that's a little bit goofy because, see, it shows you the hookup right there, but that's it. It doesn't really show the one for the back or any of that. And it shows you hook it up to a battery. Okay, so then what do you do with the other ones? Didn't make any sense to me at all. But, I already explained it to you, so we don't need to dwell on that for too long. It's really not that hard at all. So let's see. Are you going yet? No, it's still warming up. So it's still doing its turning on process. And it should show a flame on there when it actually starts cooking. And there we have the flame right there. And then I can turn it up. I can turn up the temperature. And then you have a bar right there. It shows you basically the temperature. You can go to, really too high or too low, whatever you want to do. And now it's kicked on. Oh yeah, it kicked on. I don't know if you can hear it. I'm trying to get up close to it. Initially, it may get a little loud because it's doing its whole heating up process. But once it reaches temperature, it should quiet down. So I don't know if you can hear it or not, but I can. You can see the flame inside there. It tells you that it's going. And it tells you everything, the voltage and the temperature and all that kind of stuff. It tells you everything pretty much. And you can set it up, like on this button, you just set it on all the time. On this one, you set the timer. I'm not using a timer, I just have it running. So now I can feel the heat coming out of it. Oh yeah, now it's nice and warm. Now it's starting to heat up very nicely. This guy puts out a lot of power. It is really blasting away really hot. I don't know if you can hear that motor or not. The blower, I should say. But let's get the little heat gun and see what this little guy is heating up at already. You see right there, we're already up to 167, 170 coming out of there. And that's Fahrenheit, by the way. I have it set to Fahrenheit. The exhaust is actually cooler than the heater. That puppy is really heating up. And one thing I don't hear, I hear the fan blower going, but I really do not hear the annoying tick, 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 tick that all these heaters do. So it actually is quiet like I said it was. So from far away over here, I don't know how it shows up for the camera as far as the sound goes. But it's a little noisy. It's not horrible. Like I said, if you're camping or something, it's not that bad. I'm sure it'll quiet down when it reaches a temperature. I have it set pretty high. But as far as the body goes, it is only about 80 degrees. So the outside of the unit itself is not hot at all, so it's well insulated. The body, quite good. The body's at 80 degrees. The heater, woohoo, yeah, 240, 250. The exhaust, 120. So you definitely don't want to touch the exhaust. You definitely don't want to touch any of those pipes exhausting out of there. That is pretty darn hot. That'll burn you. So that you got to stay away from. But the body itself, it's actually quite normal. You touch that and you shouldn't have any trouble at all. I mean, let me show you. The ground here is at 80 degrees. Okay? So the ground is 80 degrees. The mat is 80 degrees. That is 83 degrees. That's not hot at all. So you can touch the ground like I did, and you're not going to get hurt. That's definitely not going to hurt you. But the heater itself, yeah. Oh, yeah. That puppy is warm in there. Let's see. Oh, yeah, baby. That little guy can blow. Now, let's see. See the green bar? I have it all the way up. And you can see the flame. It's really cranking away there. So it says 26 degrees Fahrenheit. I mean, not Fahrenheit, it's on centigrade. I couldn't see how to change it to Fahrenheit. Everything is on centigrade. But that's the way it goes with these things sometimes. Bring down the temperature a little bit. I'm going to bring it down just to see what it sounds like once you bring down the temperature and it reaches its temperature. It should get quieter once it reaches the temperature. That seems about as low as it wants to go. Okay. Yeah, this guy's a little bit on the reflective side. But that shows you right there. And that shows you all the time how everything is working. So if it would have any kind of fault, it would start showing you something's not working. All right, now I can tell that it's starting to slow down because it got to the temperature it wanted to be at. You see it's slowing down. The fan's not blowing as hard. It's still putting out heat, but it's not as bad as it was before. What do you say? What do you say? 364 degrees. Wow. That is really hot inside there. That is a lot of heat this guy's putting out. The exhaust, 125, 27. Wow. That is a lot of heat coming out of there, man. 347 degrees. That is hot. That is really hot. So that tells you, and then the body, 85 degrees. No problem there at all. The body there, right next to it, 90 degrees. It's not hot in the least. The little stool, 86 degrees. So it doesn't generate heat around it. It's safe to be around it. It's safe to touch it. That's not a problem. But the unit itself, especially if you have a hose coming out of here, then you're heating up somewhere else. The unit itself won't be a problem. And actually, like I said, a couple of things to note. First of all, I don't hear the tick, 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 tick. Do you hear that? And you see the fan already? It is very, very quiet now. At first, it was very noisy because it was powering up. Now, nothing at all. And the exhaust, I really don't hear any exhaust. I really don't hear anything coming from the exhaust. So it's not noisy at all. So pretty much like I said, it has a quiet fuel pump, and it doesn't have that ticking noise that most of these heaters have. Because I've seen some of these on YouTube, and some of them are really annoying. I've watched some channels where some guys have this running in the background, not this particular one, but they'll have a diesel heater running in the background in their shop, and the entire video you hear tick, 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 tick. Oh my God, that's so annoying. So this one, the fact that it said that it didn't was an important factor when I was looking at it. So, and it did its job. It's fine. That's fantastic right there. So let me check something out real quick. All right, so here's another little test just for demonstration purposes. I know some of you guys are going to say, well, it gets really hot inside, but what's it doing on the outside? Okay, all right. So I figured, let me put this cardboard box right there in front of it. I know you're not going to be sitting this close to it. Trying to get away from that light there. But I put this cardboard box right in front of it, and let's let it heat up for a moment, and then I'll demonstrate to you whatever the heat is that's coming out of it. So it's not blowing very hard right now. If it was, I would have put the box away further, but I have it on low. So let's see what the box feels like right now. Let's turn this guy on. Look at that. The box is at 117. Okay, so that tells you that, let's move over here. See, over here you're looking 89, 86, all right? Let's move over there. 87 degrees. So that tells you the difference between the heat that's coming out of it. That's a lot of heat coming out of there. That is pretty warm right there. If you were next to it or next to the blower outlet on a really cold day, it would warm you up nicely. You can see right there where the heat's coming out and hitting it directly. So 110, 12, 13 degrees, that is pretty warm. And you know, cardboard doesn't hold a lot of heat. Let's see the top. It's pretty warm at the top too, because it generates the heat on the inside. But once you go over here to this side, it drops dramatically. So you see that the box itself is not hot, but where the heat is coming out, it is heating it up. So that's pretty efficient right there. And obviously it's warm up top because the heat generates inside the box and it heats up the hot air inside there. So that is doing a pretty good job. And if we go over here, we're looking at 200 and something. So remember, it was at 300, but I turned it down. So now we're at 240 degrees as far as that guy goes. So that cooled down very nicely as far as that guy. So I think it's doing a fantastic job. Get that out of the way. But yeah, if you're in a tent somewhere or an RV or something like that, and you have the heater hose coming out of here and it's going into your tent, that would keep your tent nice and toasty all night long. That would do a very nice job. And then you have this inside the tent. So from inside the tent, you could put it hotter or cooler, whatever you need. So that's not a problem at all right there. You see right there, you can set up everything. I have a glare problem to deal with here, but you can see all the information right there. Gives you everything you need right on that little control panel. That's the problem with these screens. They reflect so much, they're hard to get on camera. But that does a good job. And then on top of that, you also have the little remote. Let me get that over here. You also have this little guy. So you can turn it on and off with this little guy and then control the temperature on and off. Let's just shut it off. And then it should start. There you go. The remote clicked it off. Now it starts a cool down process. And that'll take a minute or two. I'm not going to keep it going for that, but I'm shutting it down. So basically clicking this little guy to turn it off will start a cool down process, because you don't want it to just shut down right away and then have all the heat stay in there. Think of it like your forced air or central air, your central heat at your house. Normally when you turn it off, it starts a cool down process for efficiency. You want to draw all that hot air out of the unit so you don't cause damage to it, and you draw the hot air out where you want it, and it's more efficient. So all these kind of units will always have a cool down process. I can feel it slowing down and cooling down as it's doing a shut off process. So that's pretty good. So there you go, guys. I think that is a pretty nifty little heater right there. It did a really good job. In just a moment, it really heated itself up very nicely, and it doesn't smell. It doesn't make a lot of noise. It's not very big. I mean, look at it. It's very compact. It's tiny. It's the size of that little stool right there. Doesn't take up a lot of room. Doesn't take up a lot of anything. Doesn't make a lot of noise. Brings all the stuff that it needs with it. The instructions were a little confusing, but I figured it out. So now you figured it out. So I think it does a really fantastic job, considering it's not very expensive for what it is. And you can take it with you anywhere as far as camping and all that. You saw that little guy clicked off, telling you that it's pretty much already shutting down. So if you're looking for a little heater that you want to take with you with an RV, a trailer, a tent, camping, use it in your shop, any of that kind of stuff, I think this is a really good little guy to take a look at. Check out the links below for all the information. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hit that thumbs up button, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye-bye for now.